Hello, I'm LJ, and this is this week's video. It is going to be probably the shortest video I've made so far. It has been a bit of a busy week for me, so I've not really had a chance to do much. I tried to start doing some of the decorating for the house, which is on the top level of the warehouse. I just haven't really gotten around to doing much. It's like I said, it's just been a busy week. I wanted to try and make a distinction between what you see in the Brotherhood barrack, where it's all very sort of functional, very martial, very military. It is a functional space. It is where the garrison of the Brotherhood of Steel that has been set up at Finch Farm lives, and they carry themselves as a professional army would. It's a functional space. It is where they do their work and where they have their bunks, and also where they've got their, for lack of a better word, I like calling it a motor pool, where they do all their repairs to all their equipment, but they keep mostly to themselves, and they are not calling it home in the traditional sense. It is just simply where they're stationed at. And I wanted to make a stark difference between that and where the settlers live. So the settlers are that is their home, so that's what they do. This is, this is a community that they are looking to build. So for now, what I've done is I've tried to make sure that there is a for lack of wanting to sound like an IKEA commercial, making it look like a home. So they have taken the time to add tiny details. They've wanted to make sure that even though they live in a highway overpass, it is not a desolate and grey asphalt covered area. As I said, it's not fully decorated. I've done some decorations, but not really enough yet. I've tried to make sure that there is a little bit of a tiny living room where people can come in, and it's very basic, but it is because the communal spaces will be in a different place. So what you've got here is just the living space. This is where the family that lives up here will be sleeping. And I've gone ahead and I've done the beds. I've done a little bit of decorating. I will be doing a lot more decorating as time goes on. I've put some trinkets. I will be placing a child here, because I do think if the settlements are having children in the settlement, then it's a sign that the settlement is stable and that there is growth beginning to happen. So there's a table here for the family to have their meals. I've gone ahead and tried to put some meals. I think it's mostly squirrel bits, crispy squirrel bits, iguana bits as well, some Nuka-Cola. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to also make a break from the metal, try and soften it, especially because this is the balcony that overlooks the Brotherhood of Steel yard. So there is an admission that the Brotherhood of Steel have to share the space with the Minutemen and with the settlers. And in doing so, there are inevitably going to be crossovers in terms of spaces. They've tried to keep their motor pool private so they can do their workouts, so they can do their general maintenance. But it's a very austere environment. It is an installation. It's like a garage. It's a military garage. So I placed this balcony here, and I really felt that there was a need for the settlers who live in this house to change it up a bit and make it softer, make it more informal and human, more playful. So in come an awful lot of plants to also green it up and to start to set that difference in tone. You know, once you hit this wall, you cease to be in a military installation. You are now in a home, in a family home. There is a family here. I'll be putting more decorations there because that is a bit bare. There will be a barbecue there because that is where they will be cooking their meals. And one of the questions that I had to myself was, well, gee, I've done all this, but surely they need a bathroom. And I will be building that. That's not been built. Like I said, I didn't really have much time. So that will be over here with the on the other side. And what I want to do as well is this building here, disregard the glitch aids, my rug and the pillar. This building here is I'm giving up the ghost. This is the comms tower. This is where the Minutemen will be based out of, but I want to establish that there is a greater relationship between the warehouse and the house and the Minutemen Building, because the Minutemen Building will be a functional building for the Minutemen to be able to establish a greater communication presence throughout the Commonwealth. They'll be able to do a lot more general sort of keeping in tabs with all the other settlements across the Commonwealth. It will be shared with the Brotherhood of Steel, and the Brotherhood of Steel will be using it for their own surveillance purposes as well. But I want it to try and integrate the external space. So all of this bit will be communal area. So there will be bathrooms, there will be play areas, there will be kitchens as well, and workshop areas, crafting stations, and there will be more. Hello, Porter. There will be more green areas as well. Just simply because I wanted to make the distinction, and I'll be building that hopefully this week. I wanted to make the distinction between what the Minutemen are in my perception of it, and what the Brotherhood of Steel is, what they are as an organization. The Brotherhood of Steel is, for all intents and purposes, in the Commonwealth, in my scenario, in which they are allowed to remain in the Commonwealth. They are still a military unit. Closest thing that I could say is that they're an expeditionary unit, because they've come from the Capital Wasteland all the way to... Hello, Porter. From the Capital Wasteland all the way to the Commonwealth, and now they've set themselves here, and the Minutemen have to deal with them. But the Minutemen themselves aren't a military unit, in as much as they're not a formal army. They are a militia. They are a commonwealth of people. They are a group of individuals who are banded together for the purposes of protecting their settlements and protecting their land. And the purpose of all militias is to disband once the threat has ceased. In the case of the Minutemen, there is, of course, a permanent threat, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the Minutemen have to be constantly in a war footing. So there will be a difference in how the Minutemen run things in my playthrough of this Commonwealth. There will be a difference in the way in which the Minutemen run things as opposed to the Brotherhood. There'll be two completely different outlooks, two completely different ways of... Oh, hello there. Two completely different ways of running about their organizational structures, and that will be reflected in the architecture of their bases and of their structures within a settlement, especially if it's a mixed settlement like this is. This is a settlement that contains both the Brotherhood of Steel, contains civilian settlers, and contains Minutemen militia that are tasked with the general protection of the settlement in the outlying areas. So what will happen is that the dynamic will change if one of the settlements is, for example, mostly a Brotherhood of Steel forward operating base, which there will be settlements. It will change again if it is a settlement that the Minutemen run with conjunction with the railroad, in conjunction with the railroad. So there'll be a different dynamic there of how those two factions interact, and it'll change the way that the settlement looks, because there are different purposes to each one of the different factions, and that should be represented in the architecture of the place. So yeah, anywho, I've made a longer video than I wanted, because I think I waffled on because I didn't have much to show in terms of what I did. But that's the house. I will be extra decorating, and then I will be adding extra bits to it, and I will be creating a bit more of the outside communal areas that will link up with the Minutemen telecommunications, well, the Minutemen communication station, because there is no telecommunications in the Commonwealth as far as we know. So it'll link with this building, and it'll be about creating that transition space between this area and the building here. So I hope you've enjoyed the update. I hope you've enjoyed the work that's being done. I hope you like the direction it's going in. If you do, please leave a like on the video, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye.